So with two captains at scrum half and a referee, well, who knows what will happen. James Hook it is, who gets the game underway for Wales, with the Canadians, just to remind you again, playing in the traditional Welsh colours of red. Wales in their chain strip of grey. And certainly all the power for Canada is in the pack. As immediately the Canadians looking for a field position. Shane Williams wearing 11, but playing on the right wing for Wales. Same will be true of their opposite numbers. James Pritchard playing on the right and wearing 11, knocking the ball on. Referee waiting for an advantage to Wales. And the kick rather from James Hook is going to go dead. So they have to come all the way back for that, and a classic example of kicking your advantage away, Will.
Yeah, we're discussing earlier about the advantage rules at the moment, and it's looking at closely, and in this World Cup they're looking to finish his advantage early. Wales had hold of the ball, Alex Popham down on it, the action man of the Welsh back row, he's everywhere, he's all over the place. Wales had control of the ball. James Hook would be disappointed. There was some open space in behind Canada. He had a nice target, he slipped it a bit too straight that time, and it gives the ball back to Canada.
There's the Canadian number 9, the Canadian skipper Morgan Williams, obviously with a Welsh heritage, but he's one of 8 players in this team who ply their trade in French rugby, although he is about to retire. He's played for Albi in France in recent seasons, and there's going to be a huge battle in the front row, particularly between Adam Jones here and Rod Snow, wearing one on this side for Canada. Veteran, 37 years of age, spent almost a decade playing his rugby in Wales with the Newport Gwent Dragons. Michael Stephen, the number 8, did well as again the Canadians creating a bit of space. That ball down the line. That's Van der Merwe, born in South Africa, and gets the ball through, so an early chance for him. And Canada really doing well keeping that ball alive, Will.
Well, they've used Spicer's left foot twice early on, and there they put the ball in behind the outside centre into Dave Spicer. He nudged it in behind Shane Williams, who looked a little flat. Kevin Morgan hedged his bets in the midfield, and again, good field position for Canada.
Those winning their line-out ball in this occasion, and again it's that man Popham taking the ball up from the number 8 position. This time to Shanklin, that's a poor kick. Straight to Mike Pike, the man who plies his trade in France with Montauban. Scored a superb try in the summer for Canada against New Zealand. This is a bright start, certainly, by the Canucks. Luke Tate, another man with Welsh connections, who takes it up. Chance for the drop goal for Andy Monroe. Well, a man of Scottish descent who's played his rugby with Waterloo in England, a club that the gentleman on my left here, and his father in particular, will be very proud of their association with it.
Martin Williams is going quickly here to play. We'll get back to Waterloo. I'll talk about them all afternoon, but Martin Williams regathers the ball. Done nice in Alan Winchester, but big tackle. What that's DTH Van der Merwe.
That's Van der Merwe, the South African, hitting over the Welsh second row with no problem at all. Spicer goes in to play scrum half. Sean Michael Stephen, who's been playing with Béziers in France, just been released in fact, has gone back to Canada, but this is certainly a bright start by Canada. Spicer again takes the ball up. Options on both sides here for Canada. Jamie Cudmore, big man in the back row, once of the Llanelli Scarlets, now of Clermont-Ferrand. Clermont-Auvergne, of course.
I think the 4 sides from the home nations, from the 6 nations, so far, will be very disappointed in terms of their physicality. At this stage, Wales look to be losing that physical battle. Mike Pike obviously created the initial space. Anyone who goes 80 metres against the All Blacks is a guy you have to watch closely. First up tackles must be matched by Wales. But again, France, Italy and England on the first 24 hours all lost that physical battle. And Wales, at this precise moment in time, are following suit.
And Wales must hope that the grey doesn't result in a Manchester United-style performance.
Do I not like grey? Was that Alex Ferguson?
It was.
Always, do I not like orange, Graham Taylor? It was a combination. All managers blame the colour if in doubt.
Yes. So Alan Roller wants to get things sorted out in the front row immediately, I'm sure. Huge huge physical battle there between Adam Jones and Rod Snow, and it's Snow, in fact, who was penalised that time.
An interesting touch there from Martin Williams. Alex Popham picked the ball up from 8 there when the penalty was given and wanted to go, and Martin Williams just sensed that it's just a little loose at the moment, and they need to get a bit of field position, a bit of territory. They'd like a line out, get some of their big boys in, perhaps send Sonny Parker or Alex Popham up the midfield, give them a target, give them something to hit and to get into the game. The forwards like an early target.
Wales have had a lot of problems with the line-out over recent years, but it all came together in that facet of play in the last warm-up game against France. The rest of the performance wasn't that fantastic, but the line-out certainly did work well. Off with the tap down. Very tidy, but it'll work okay. Popham looking again to get over the advantage line. Popping it up. Ethan Jenkins. Opposite number Snow with a strong tackle. Goff again. Old teammate of Snow's at Newport over the years. Mark Jones. Two winners popping up together on this side of the field then. Shane Williams playing the scrum off. Now it's Peel. Offside decision against John Teal.
That's better, making the Canadians tackle you, moving them about 3 or 4 passages of play. Dwayne Peel, Shane Williams acting at half-backs alternately, moving the ball away from the point of contact and giving James Hook a chance early on to get the scoreboard ticking. Every nation likes to get the scoreboard ticking at the start of their World Cup campaign. Just settles the nerve a little bit. It's great to see Gethin Jenkins with his hands on the ball, a man who was so important in 2005, and then with injuries missed a lot of rugby, but such a wonderful rugby player.
Here's a young man who's made as big an impression as anybody in his first year of international rugby, I'm sure, James Hook. 15 caps out of the last 16 games. He's come in and has replaced Stephen Jones because of injury, and in fact because of form, some might say. He's an outstanding talent, and here has the opportunity to give Wales the cushion on the 3-point lead, which they would give their right hands for, I'm sure, at this stage of the game. Not too bright a start for Wales. Now is Hook. Halfway between the 10-metre line and the halfway line. Strikes the ball well. Unlucky. And plenty of time for the Canadians to get the ball away. So, narrow miss then for Wales early on, but they have a good field position. Good position from which to attack, and the throw in at the line out also. So they look to Matthew Rees. Matthew Scarlett, originally from Pontypridd. His accuracy with the line-out ball. Wyn Jones at the back, Martin Williams to Peel. Now Popham charging in at the heart of the Canadian defence. Jonathan Thomas just held back, and there's a hand in there. Alan Rowland quickly to spot it, and this time surely Jamie Cudmore, the man penalised. Ref wants to talk to him.
First, knock on the round the gate. Second, use your hands in the ruck. Please be careful, okay?
So a warning immediately then for Jamie Cudmore, and the second opportunity for James Hook in as many minutes from in front of the post this time.
Yeah, it should serve a couple of purposes. It's A, to get Wales on the score, but I mean, the first kick, James Hook, you wouldn't mind, it was a nice contact, nice strike. It certainly wasn't a gimme. This much more a sort of certain kick. But on the other, the extra bonus is the fact that they're making the Canadians tackle, they're making them infringe, and of course, yellow cards will take a place. If Canada continue to infringe all day, at some stage, especially so cynically close to their own line, it might put pressure on Alan Rowland to give the yellow card and reduce Canada to 14 men.
113 points already in his fledgling international career. Playing just the 16th game today, James Hook. Developed his talents very much on the 7-a-side circuit before making the breakthrough with Neath and the Ospreys. James Hook drills it right down the middle, kicks it powerfully. Just under 10 minutes gone in the first half. Wales have the lead they desperately wanted. 3 points to 0, thanks to that effort by James Hook.
James Hook, a top-class player, obviously applying pressure for the 10 jersey with Stephen Jones. For a man of his age to look as though he's got so much time on the ball, it bodes well for long-term rugby at fly half for Wales.
And Monroe's ball back to Jonathan Thomas. I'm not sure that Shane Williams was expecting to get that pass. Which is why probably it's ended up in the hands of Mike Pike. That one surely is too long. Williams underneath it. Calls for the mark and finally given.
Great option, great option. Kevin Morgan can really motor.
Shanklin in support of him. The combination that did so well for Wales really in the Six Nations triumph in 2005. Beautiful pickup by Peel from a poor ball. Adam Jones, the prop, is the first one in there. Mistake at the breakdown though has put pressure on Wales. And Snow takes it up. Monroe goes for the corner. That is a fantastic kick by the man from Waterloo.
The man from Waterloo is copying his old pal Chad Erskine, who played so wonderfully well for the Americans yesterday against England. Now Shane Williams from that mark, superb, saw the option was on, took it, great execution, but then from the following phase, there's the poor pass. That's the poor execution that we've seen too much from this weekend.
Long ball comes off successfully for Wales, with it ending up in the hands of Alex Popham. So that's relief from a dangerous position. Dwayne Peel with the clearance, just making it to touch. Excellent kick by the new Welsh skipper.
And the winger, Pritchard, knew his rules. If he puts one foot in touch and catches it, he'll take the line out for Canada. Mark Jones is complaining that he felt that 1 foot in touch, when you make the clean catch, gives Canada the line out.
No, you're dropping in late.
So Monroe waits then, as Pat Reardon puts into a shortened line-out. Cudmore wears 6, wearing 4 is Luke Tate, and 5 is Mark James. Cudmore takes it. So this is what we expect to see from the Canadians. Rolling them all on, which they've done so successfully over the years. So it's turned into a wreck. Monroe goes for the drop goal, charged down by Martin Williams. And it's Pritchard with plenty of time. Intelligent little kick over the top. Mark Jones up and down, down and up. Keeping the ball alive, but rather a suicidal pass there. At the end of the day, it's Hook. Just a bit of a slice in it. Referee happy for the play to continue from the quickly taken throw by Monroe.
There's that man who covers every blade of grass again. Martin Williams made the charge down, chased the man down, finds himself retrieving the kick, and does the right things well. I think that's why everyone loves watching Martin Williams and appreciates him as a rugby player. Makes the right option virtually 99 times out of 100 and finds himself, quite a diminutive figure, finds himself in the right place at the right time, and is always so effective.
Referee Roller has penalised the Canadians, having too many men in the line-out, a technical offence, resulting in a free kick. So it's Jonathan Thomas. Peel pops it up towards Gethin Jenkins. Wales not overcommitting the ruck and maul to keep men out in the position here. Sonny Parker, first time the New Zealand-born centre has had the ball in his hands. And that's very much a part of the modern game. Backs and forwards going in, they're taking the ball on. 11 and 12 both in there. Penalty given again against the Canadians, again for hands in the ruck. Dwayne Peel, the captain, did have a think about taking it quickly, but in the end the decision, quite understandably, is to give James Hook another kick.
And tremendously decisive from James Hook. He stood right there and said, nope, give me the ball, I'll bang this one over, I'm feeling confident, I'm striking well. The Wales fans will be delighted that Sonny Parker returned from his retirement and get him back in there. I had the pleasure of playing with him for a Barbarians team. Doesn't overly concentrate on the set pieces, just enjoys the ball in his hands, enjoys taking people on. He's tremendously physical and could fill that seemingly problem jersey for Wales at the moment at inside centre.
1 from 2 for James Hook so far in the first 15 minutes almost of this first period, looking for his second success. Again, the contact was excellent from the youngster, extending Wales's lead. 6 points still, to the delight of his teammates on the bench there.
You can't have a better coach than Neil Jenkins. You can see at the bottom of your pictures there, just picking up his tee. He's become a tee carrier, but what a brilliant coach he is, what a great kicker he was. And to have him in the camp coaching Stephen Jones and James Hook would really add tremendous string to their bow.
The Canadians, based in France for the competition for the third time, they did pretty well on previous visits here. Quarter-finalists back in 1991. It's Pike from the back. Again, surely that's misdirected. Will go dead though, so Hook will have to minor it.
Yeah, I feel that James Hook was probably going for touch on that occasion. Sometimes you get a bit of boos and the crowd get upset with you, but sometimes you do play down the channel. On that occasion, I think just not quite timing his kicks out of hand as well as he's timing his kicks from the floor at this precise moment. And you don't want to give too much counter-attack ball to Mike Pike. He looks one of the most dangerous players in this Canadian team.
Yep, certainly does. Let's deep then to the Canadian goal kicker, James Pritchard. A record point scorer over the years for Bedford. Canada guilty this time of taking the man out in the air. The referee Alain Rollin chastising the Canadians, decides not to allow the quickly taken penalty by Wales.
And Dwayne Peel a little frustrated twice now, I think. Twice now he's wanted to go quickly, lift the tempo. That's what Dwayne Peel adds to the side as he scampers around the rucks. James Hook, a little bit of handbags, nothing too serious. But Dwayne Peel keen to get his hands on the ball, keen to lift the tempo. He knows when Wales play quickly, Wales play well.
Don't be doing anything silly when the ball's gone, okay? Just don't retaliate to anything.
Both sides making sure that's their replacements or potential replacements. Warm up. It's becoming an increasingly warm and bright day, actually. The sun's come out, so I would think the temperature is up by a couple of degrees since we kicked off.
Just like Ross-on-Sea.
Colin Jarvis, Duncan Jones, two of the 5 captains we saw there on the Welsh bench. As Peel takes it on quickly. Well, after a bright start, certainly Wales have penned the Canadians back in their own territory.
Just listen to Alain Rollin and talking there. You know, we only tend to hear about referees, don't we, when we're having a pop at them. Alain Rollin really does it. I think he's the best referee in the world at the moment. The way he controls, but his empathy with what's going on as an ex-international player.
Pressure from the Welsh 8 was good there, but Morgan Williams, you remember in 1999 when he came on the scene with Canada with 2 tries against France down in Béziers. That's where he made the first big impression on us all. Brother Jeff played for Canada too as fullback. As Monroe gets the kick downfield. We heard about the controversial choices in the Welsh team. Well, Monroe in a sense too is a controversial choice for Canada, because Ryan Smith, another man who's played his rugby in France with Montauban, has been the regular number 10 over the last couple of seasons. Rick Sickert deciding obviously that Monroe was the man for the occasion in support of his forwards, I'm sure.
He looks to be controlling quite well. I mean, you can see him there bossing, talking to Morgan Williams. Keep it going, keep it going. They'll have it when it's going forward. Static. Well, you'd imagine this is going to be a kick. But no, they use the big Craig Culpin, big battering ram coming through. Good defence from Wales.
Another New Zealand man with connections. He was born in Canada, but actually brought up in New Zealand. Craig Culpin volunteered his services.
We're just saying there,
Canadians.
You can see what happens when you try and run slow ball. It doesn't matter who you're up against there. You just felt Argentina on the opening night just said, look, slow ball, Hernandez, let's kick it up. Man of the match is almost Manu Contepomi for chasing kicks all day. And so, yes, people and supporters want to see hands in the ball. But when it's slow, don't be afraid to let the boot do the work. That's what, especially early on in a game, defences are so well organised. And James Hook's now got his 3-wood out this time.
Yes. Penalty decision by referee Roller. Against, was it Mike James, I think, going in there? And I think any more transgressions from Canada, and I think we might well see a yellow card.
As Stuart Barnes quite rightly said, sometimes they sort of wait till 75 minutes, and if they're cheating, they're cheating.
James Hook then, more or less from the position from which he hit the post with his first effort, maybe a metre or so further back towards halfway. The ball kick is composing himself. Good contact once again on the ball. Has the distance also this time and the accuracy. So Gareth Jenkins, the Welsh coach, will be delighted with that. James Hook has given Wales a platform in the first 20 minutes of this game.
Exactly, they haven't cut Canada up. What they've done is they've got the scoreboard ticking over. They know Canada will now have to play and come and chase the game. That will create space, and they understand that early on there's not huge amounts of space on an international rugby field.
Shane Williams with a poor pass that time, putting Alex Popham in big trouble. He'll thank him for that, won't he? But time for Hook, plenty of time.
What you like about Alex Popham is he's no nonsense, is he? He just gets on with it. He gets up, moves on, sets himself, knows what his job is, knows what his roles are, and gives his coach, wherever he's played, gives his coach absolute and total commitment. Has really sort of grabbed that number 8 shirt for himself, I think, recently.
So Pat Reardon, another man with connections, having played in Wales for a couple of seasons with Pontypridd. And here's the new man, Dave Biddle, wearing 7. Come into the side as Stan McQueen, who people will know well down in Cornwall. He was forced because of injury to drop out of the World Cup party. Mike James from Stade Francais doing the hard work there to win the ball, and it goes in to Spicer in centre field. Canada through Cudmore, looking again to establish a pattern then, establish a platform for themselves, which they had in the opening minutes of this game. Monroe with the diagonal kick for Van der Merwe. It's knocked forward by Shane Williams. But it was an important touch, wasn't it?
It was. It's a useful tactic. Shane Williams, dancing feet, magical when he gets the ball in his hands. But clearly not the tallest of wings. They used Takiri in the World Cup final on Jason Robinson. And if there's an opportunity with a smaller wing and you've got a big South African-born winger, then stick it up and give him a chance to compete for the ball.
Yes, we look out in this game for a man known as DTH Van der Merwe. Daniel is his Christian name. Man from South Africa who's made a late charge into this Canadian team. He is standing now behind the scrum. Wales complain of illegal tactics by the Canadians. Through John Teal on the tight head side, wearing 3. Good pressure once again by Wales. Stephen at number 8 has to hold on the ball. It's Cudmore now, who attacks Popham on the 22. Luke Tate, former under-21 international with Wales before returning to the country of his birth. But it's all very, very slow, Will, isn't it?
It is. That's the way the Canadians tend to play. They've picked a big pack, haven't they, to try and take Wales on. They've felt we've got a yard here. Monroe's going to stand flat and keep using his big guys, and they've created a bit of space down the short side.
It's Culpin, the Kiwi. Well, that's a shame as far as Monroe and Canada is concerned. He couldn't keep his feet. It's Morgan Williams sniping away at the Welsh line, looking for the first try of this game and really to get back and put pressure on Wales too. Wales have to defend strongly in this position. Canada just out from the line. Can they get the ball down? Not quite. Alain Roland is playing an advantage to Canada. Wales killing the ball in there. There's a chance for the big pack to get in and drive over. Yes, the referee's awarded the try, to the delight of Rick Saggett and the Canadians. First try of the game to the big pack from Canada.
Yeah, it seems to come from nothing. They're on the 22, going nowhere, using the big forward. They came to the short side and found acres of space. They did very well. I think Andy Monroe might have scored himself if he hadn't just tripped. They went back to the big forwards and they just kept it. They had the advantage. They had nothing to lose. They kept it tight and they crashed over. Very disappointing start for Wales. But look, it's all about how you react to this, how you react to this pressure. Who's the big man? Is it Biddle?
Driving for the line. No, Biddle 7 at the back there. But the referee, Alain Rolla, in a perfect position to see it. Mike James wearing 5, he was in there as well.
A forwards try.
Certainly.
A forwards try that Neil Backer was used to claim.
Yes. Essai collectif, I think they call it in France. As James Pritchard looks to add the extra points from the touchline. That won't drift in sufficiently. But certainly that try has brought Canada back into it. We've got a competition, a competitive game on our hands again. It's 9-5 as we come up towards the half-hour mark.
Wales certainly won't complain with a competitive fixture the week before they play Australia. What they want to do is look to regain composure, get their hands back on the ball and continue to do what they were doing earlier on in the game, which is playing some phases, make the Canadians tackle, put them under pressure, make them infringe and play from there. Here's a chance for Kevin Morgan to probably go up and under.
Good looking ball. Mark is called. Try has been credited to Sean Michael Stephen, number 8 for Canada. That really has brought the game to life, well, hasn't it?
It has. The previous 5 minutes, the excitement seems to be about the Mexican wave going around the crowd. That's brought the crowd back into it. The Welsh fans have just gone a little bit quiet, clearly a bit anxious about the way the scoreline's moving, but stay patient.
Sorry for the confusion. Decision now is that it's Jamie Cudmore, wearing 6, who's been awarded the try. That pass was forward, surely, almost an interception, which would have been glory for DTH van der Merwe.
Oh, Sonny Park, as he let this go, his heart must have been in his mouth. Had DTH van der Merwe committed, they used Shanklin up the middle to hold someone, and they used another decoy runner up the middle, trying to create space outside in the open channel. In fact, I think that was the same interception that Gareth Thomas gave in one of the warm-up games. Exactly the same move. Clearly something they haven't been working on that well. It's a well thought out move, but it needs to be executed extremely well. And it's occasionally why forwards get grumpy, and then you lose the link between forwards and backs. They say, last time we gave you the ball, you dropped it, or you gave an interception away. Keep hold of it, or you're not having it. And that's what forwards are like, and that's the link you need to keep open to play a positive, total game.
Referee Rolla just having a quiet word with the 2 front rows.
What's the binding? Put it straight in. Wait for the call. There's your mark.
Canadian guys, are they popular when they're in Wales?
Yep, certainly. Rod Snow, very, very popular man indeed. Wales are penalised at the scrum then at the end of it. So Morgan Williams look to keep up the pressure generated by that try by Jamie Cudmore. Well, the idea was a good one. Implementation not too good.
I think that's been the story of the World Cup for the team so far. Teams have had ideas, but implementation under pressure, opening weekend of the World Cup, hasn't been good enough. You'd expect it to improve as the tournament goes on.
Hook again, failing to find touch, and again, it's van der Merwe. Setting up the possession, good quick ball that time too for Canada. Spicer having to tidy it up, now it's Rod Snow. Untidy passage of play, but the Canadians have managed to maintain the possession, allowing Monroe to drill the kick through, straight though to Kevin Morgan. Loves to counter-attack because of his bravery over the years. He's had more than his share of injuries too. Hook. Isley not passing the ball out on that occasion. Sloppy pass again by Peel. Popham does brilliantly well to Jenkins. Williams again in support, but the ball's gone forward. Referee waiting for an advantage to Canada, but it won't come.
I enjoyed that little bit of play from Hook. You see him like a matador, ball in two hands, dodging, weaving. Great to see Jenkins out in the wide open spaces. I think Shane Williams probably saw the big fella coming and saw the shadow coming over the west stand. But yeah, James Hook, the way he got himself out of trouble by getting the ball back in both hands, looking to dummy the pass, looking to give the pass, just puts big forwards in front of him in two minds as to whether to come and tackle him or not. Just buys him enough time. The other interesting piece of that piece of play was Kevin Morgan in the right position. We've seen Cedric Heyman on Friday night, a winger playing out of position, struggling, and at times we saw Mark Cueto struggling in the fullback position. It's a very difficult position to play fullback in terms of being in the right place at the right time. The good ones make it look easy. That's what Kevin Morgan does.
And don't forget, there's lots more action to come today at 3 o'clock on ITV1. You can see South Africa against Samoa. And of course, England will be watching very closely. Then over on ITV4 and STV, Scotland open their World Cup against newcomers Portugal. That kicks off at 5 o'clock. And next up at 7, Ireland take on Namibia. You can see that on ITV4 and UTV. Big day then for the Celtic nations.
Touch, pause, engage.
Ball knocked forward, spotted by Alain Roland. Good pressure by the Welsh scrum that time.
Big positive for the Welsh scrum there. It's the knock-on from the number 8, but where did it come from? It stemmed from the pressure that the big boys, Jenkins, Rees and Jones, put on the front row and drove through. Ian Goff hasn't had a mention yet. I've watched his sort of shape change over the last couple of years. Tremendously physical man with a huge work rate. Now here's an opportunity for Wales. Interesting setup in the back line. Sonny Parker looking as though may come in, maybe used as a decoy, but an opportunity perhaps to see one of these Welsh set moves that they can, when they want to, when they execute it properly, can pull off so well.
Scrum going down very tight to this touchline.
Touch, pause, engage.
And again, lots of argy-bargy in the front row.
We talk about the link between forwards and backs sometimes, and it's the forwards, quite rightly, they're buying into this, hopefully, the Wales, by giving them a solid platform. It's not simply the back's ball. The forwards are part of this move by creating a solid platform from which Dwayne Peel can deliver it.
Dwayne Peel prevented from getting the ball in cleanly, so the Canadians are penalised. Free kick. Jonathan Thomas really came on the scene in those games against England and New Zealand in 2003 in Australia.
I'm eternally grateful he wasn't a yard quicker. He might have got me.
Again, that's sloppy. Instead of playing the basic game there, really. Giving the ball to Canada. Very good kick forward by Williams. And it's bounced nicely for the Canadians. Now Wales must release, otherwise they're in big trouble.
Oh, terrible by the Canadian, terrible. Roland right there, they had the ball, they were winning, no one overcommitted. I think Shanklin was back and just said, no, you can have it, you can have it. And the Canadian dived straight over the top and gave up all the territory and the pressure they had. It reminded me a little bit of Paul O'Connell in the second test at Wellington, under the post early on, and he flew over the top and it just let the New Zealanders off the hook. And we remember what happened after that.
Yep. And the classic position there, really, where the defending side very often are penalised because they're isolated and not releasing the ball. Referees seem to want to give penalties in that position.
And you saw that came from a turnover, didn't you? Chatting to Phil Vickery after the game yesterday, it's almost as some teams don't want the ball and try and create the turnovers from the defensive pressure, and then they'll play. That's when the defences are organised. Kevin Morgan is a good positional fullback, but you can see from a turnover there, that kick, he had nowhere to be.
And we're seeing one of the two identical Pletch twins coming onto the field. Mike Pletch has come on, I think in place of John Teal. So the first change of the game, it's John Teal, very unfortunately leaving the field just 13 months ago. He had a heart operation, would you believe? An open heart operation. He's off for the moment for repairs.
Is that right?
goes to show you don't need that tall a man at the back of the lineup. It's all to do with teamwork. Martin Williams, the man lifted by Wales.
Helps when he's 12 stone and you can get him really, just
Right.
lob him up there.
Yeah.
Keep it up, Canada. It's a ball. That's once. That's once.
You'll hear from referee Roland, that's once. You're allowed 2 goes at the rolling ball before the referee tells the side to use it or lose it. Peel organising. Adam Jones just to sneak in for that extra little yard. Now it's Matthew Reese's turn. Third member of the front row is Gethin Jenkins.
Stay back, high balls, Canada. Yeah, counter up, it's fine.
All looks and Gainley for a purpose, but not when it goes wrong.
And Morgan Williams has tapped and he's off and he's got a foot race to the corner.
Great run by Morgan Williams, looking to support to Monroe, almost got the ball into his half-back partner's hands. What a bright break by Morgan Williams that was.
Oh, yeah, he took his chance well, but it all came, all you forwards back in Wales watching this will be so frustrated. It was so slow and the guys were stood up, they were tall in the ruck. Canada do what every other side does, they counter up well, they came through the middle, it was play on, they got the penalty, off he went, up the touchline. Goff does well to catch him, but oh, so frustrating.
And Goff just needing a little bit of treatment after making that big tackle. So just time to draw breath. It's been a strange game, hasn't it, with Canada starting so well, Wales then taking it over, but the Canadians are really back in it, in contention.
They are, they're competing ferociously on the floor as the Americans did yesterday, and Wales are struggling to try and maintain or try and generate, some rhythm and tempo. James Hook's there, stood at 10, he's calling for it, doesn't come, he's calling for it. Everyone creeps and gets flat, so then he can't have the ball. Then the forwards just get a bit disjointed, a bit tall in the ruck. They get smashed off it, and it becomes a very disjointed game.
Wales again warming up their replacements. Gareth Thomas, we saw there, looking forward to gaining his 98th international cap at some stage in this competition.
A stunning number of games to play international rugby.
Ryan Peel, as all number 9s do, like playing referee too. From the Merve, gets up high and is allowed obviously in the air.
Big tackle.
Huge tackle. But Sean Michael Stevens done well. Did in the first instance anyway, before losing the ball. Here's a chance for a break. Shanklin. Great running by Tom Shanklin. Now Wales need to maintain the possession. It's Williams in the first receiver position. The dancing feet. Martin Williams. Goff. Popham. Rees outside him. It's Rees. Matthew Rees going in towards the line. Good play by Wales. But the interception is going to give Canada the chase. Hook goes back. Craig Culpin now is going to get to the line. What high drama. Canada with the second try of this game. Just at a point at which it seemed Wales had to score. But it's the man with the Kiwi connection in the Canadian camp, Craig Culpin, who takes the opportunity for his first ever international try.
Well, stunning thrust and counter thrust. They turned over the big number 8. They went left. Tom Shanklin had a nice run. Shane Williams got his ball in his hands. He stepped and danced, beat 2 or 3, shipped it off to Martin Williams. All looking good at this stage. Goff does so well. There was a decoy run at the short side. They recycle the ball and he takes a gamble. He knew it was either 7 points for Wales or 7 points for Canada. He took a punt and then he had the legs. Don't look round, son. They're coming. They're coming. And he has the legs to go the length. Unbelievable. You can see the Canadian bench boys there going mad. They cannot believe when they were about to be 16 points, 5 down, they might now find themselves 12-9 in front.
Craig Culpin, Canadian-born, who moved back to New Zealand with his parents when he was 7 years of age and volunteered his services to the Maple Leaf country, which they obviously gladly accepted. Pritchard looking for the conversion attempt. As Wales are going to have to make a blood replacement also. Colin Jarvis waiting to come on for Martin Williams. Pritchard, excellent kick for the man from Bedford, on target. Canada take the lead then in dramatic fashion.
Hercus didn't have the legs yesterday. Culpen did. He took a punt, he made the chance for himself, and he goes the length. Martin Williams leaves the field for some blood, and the big Colin Jarvis has come on. It's how you react to this pressure, how you cope with these sorts of things that determines how well you'll do in a tournament and how far you can possibly go. Wales shouldn't be too... It's strange, they shouldn't be too disappointed. That was their first bit of open play that created space, and yet they find themselves underneath their own post. Who would be a coach?
Yes.
Well, my old man was, and he got the boot as well.
It's ultimately what happens to all coaches, isn't it? I think, like football managers. Alex Popham, corner flagging, like a good number 8. Colin Jarvis, one of the 5 skippers, past and present, on the Welsh bench. And made a huge contribution, of course, in 2003 to the Welsh effort.
When he wants to play Jarvis, he is absolutely world class. There is absolutely no question about it.
Spot the ball competition. There's 2 mini mauls formed. But Jarvis is in the middle of it all there, number 19, rolling it on. Body positions are a little high.
Hands out to ruck!
This is now turned into a ruck, so hands not allowed. Peel, a little kick over the top for Mark Jones. This to allow Pritchard to get the ball before he can hit him when he hits the ground. So it's Canada's turn on this occasion, just to do the little snail's movement going forward in small steps.
If they're clever, they'll roll it, and they'll kick it off sideways and go in front 12-9 at half-time and have a real positive pep talk.
It's all right, it's out.
There's only 30 seconds of time to go before the half-time whistle comes.
The backs do not want this ball. Pick and go, get in the changing room and have a drink.
What will be the feeling in both camps, do you think, Will?
Well, Canada will just be delighted to be in the game as they get a little charge down, but they've regathered the ball, Canada will be delighted to be in this game. They'll feel they could have been behind, but they've stuck at it, they've dogged it out, they've been physical at the breakdown. They feel as though they've got the match of this Welsh pack. The Welsh boys, again, have been irritated, frustrated. That at times, when they've got their game together, they've looked good, but too often, there have been too many errors at key moments.
Oh, there's more drama. Ball's knocked forward, but in fact, the clock has gone past the 40-minute mark. So, Alain Roland calls a halt. First half of high drama then. 3 penalties for Wales for James Hook. 2 tries for Canada. They're in the lead at the interval.
And Bob Simmons.
Referee Alain Roland gets the second half underway. It's a little cliche, everything to play for, but really 40 minutes of big rugby facing both these sides. Maybe even more so Wales than Canada, because the expectation is on them to win today. Martin Williams, number 7, restored to the Welsh lineup after being patched up.
Turnover, loads of space behind, put it over the top, Shane.
Shane Williams keeps it in hand, gets the old 1-2 going. Parker stays on his feet as long as possible, but it's all slowed down really. Peel's in there. Again, Williams involved. Kick into space. Jones and Shankling in there, good covering from Morgan Williams. Excellent play by the skipper. Really has been a great servant to Canadian rugby and has thoroughly enjoyed his time at Albi. Saw them gain promotion to the top 14 last season. Going out at the end of this competition. Meanwhile, his opposite member, Dwayne Peel, has the job of lifting his side. Ahead in scores, also possession and territory in that first period. Parker breaking the gain line. Sean Michael Stephen, it was in the end who brought him down. That's a good ball to Matthew Rees. Just for the moment, look to get it out to Jonathan Thomas. Tidying up work, gives the chance again to Kevin Morgan. They really need to clear people out, but they've committed the cardinal sin of giving away a penalty in that position.
I agree exactly with what Chris Horseman's saying in terms of, well, so far I agree with him, in terms of don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. But it is slightly worrying that he's discussing, well, as the game goes on, we'll rely on our conditioning. My goodness, there's so many fit teams in this World Cup. You need to be better than be able to run at a good 800 metres. You need to be able to change your game plan. You need to be able to change what's going when what's in front of you is unexpected, and what's in front of them so far has been unexpected in terms of the ferocity of the defence and the determination the Canadians have showed. That was nice. There was a good turnover. There was space behind. They won the line out. It was a well-drilled line out. But again, they then just became one-off runners, and one guy, Mark Jones, competing over the ball there. Sean Michael Stephen, he's playing so well for them all over the field. They just need to work in twos and threes. At the moment, there's too many individual efforts from Wales, not a team or a unit effort.
Pritchard with the clearance kick as Andy Monroe needed treatment. Sean Michael Stephen, NCAA last season. Weird. Into a full lineup for Canada. Just to remind you, Canada in the red. Scorer of the first try, Jamie Cudmore. Clément Aubert in the central massif in France. He's a pretty massive figure himself. Powerful man in the block or in the back row.
Number 9, don't get involved, he's legal. You're
Great
legal.
job for his side so far in this in the first period rather of this game.
4, advantage. You want it?
Wales are being penalised here. I think probably collapsing it. Ian Goff, I think.
One of the great rhetorical questions there from Alan Roland to Morgan Williams. Do you want that penalty? Take a wild guess, Alain.
Yeah.
We're winning 12-9. We've got some physical dominance. Our goal kicker might have a look, but he'll probably go to the corner and we'll drive it again and we'll begin to run the clock down. We'll make Wales play from deep. Will they get edgy? Will they get nervous? Will they begin to throw Hail Mary passes and chase the game when perhaps it's not on? Just turning the screw. It's very, very cleverly done by Canada at the moment.
And Reardon has the target certainly in this line-out. Tate 4, James 5, Cudmore 6. The pressure is coming in on Wales. It's Biddle 7 in there also. Momentum just for the moment has gone, so Canada start again. Bring it out to the three-quarters this time through Spicer. It's Morgan Williams, just short of the line as Canada look for their third touchdown of this game. Again, they'll pick up and go from that tight position. Wales having to defend desperately. Luke Tate went over the top in the first instance. Ball now is on the ground. It's a ruck. Handling not allowed. Morgan Williams, the Canadian skipper, orchestrating things. Biddle 7 involved in picking it up. The pressure on Wales is just enormous. Pike, the fullback, goes to join it as well.
He's penalised Martin Williams, so they've got the advantage. Again, another free play, the same way they scored in the first half.
And the try scored, Morgan Williams. This time the captain gets in. Third try for Rick Sugarman. My word, they are taking control of this game, Canada.
Wales are on the brink of catastrophe here. Morgan Williams at the heart of it. He started it, he finished it. They won the penalty. They did the driving line-up from the ensuing. He used the referee nicely. He used a little block, went through the middle. And there again, they drove and they drove and they drove, and there was no one in behind. As Colin Chavez has done many times to Wales, he's picked up, he's 12, 13 stone, and he's gone straight through the heart of the Welsh defence on the line. Tremendously disappointing. Serious questions now. Big team talk from Dwayne Peel. What does he say to the boys under the sticks?
That is the $64,000 question, as they say. Centre stage, his opposite number at the moment, Morgan Williams, with Canada's third score. And taking their chances when they're presented. That's what this game is all about, isn't it?
Exactly. How many chances have they had? But they have had the territory. I mean, I say that. How many chances have they had? They've had the territory, they've had more possession. Wales have been unable to get the hands on the ball, and when they've had it, they've turned it over. They've not been as precise as they'd like. Right, they've got to keep their heads up. They've got to keep working as units, as a team.
Pritchard, Canada's record point scorer, can't add the extra this time. But still, there are 2 scores in it.
Exactly, but it's the next score, isn't it? You fear for Wales if Canada come back and score again. It's the next score. Just nick a 3 points, nick a drop goal, get a penalty. Just do so. Alex Popham urging his teammates on. He won't lack for anything from his own effort. Will the boys follow him behind him?
The 20,000 Welshmen in the crowd here, in the pits very much so at the moment. The Welsh team will look to their supporters to lift them, but in turn, obviously, the players need to give the spectators something also. But it's Canada, their confidence sky high, obviously, on the strength of this performance. Mark Jones this time. Kevin Morgan. Again, the first time tackling by Canada was good. Sonny Parker this time takes it wide again to Shane Williams. Wales have managed to maintain the possession. Peel despite the pressure from Williams. So important to make your first time tackles in this position.
Good ball, good ball.
Adam Jones did well because Wales were looking isolated. Gethin Jenkins picks up off his bootlaces. You have a feeling this might well be a big attack. It's Kevin Morgan. Dumped to the ground unceremoniously. And Cudmore was in there fighting for the ball again. But Peel. Goff, good hands. And Rhys Jenkins. Alex Popham back inside. But the ball's gone forward. I don't know. Do you think sometimes as Stephen Jones looks to make an appearance, you get the feeling that in certain games things are just not good go your way, Will?
Bounced the ball. They got away with potentially a forward pass. I saw the Canadian water carrier screaming at the touch judge saying that went forward. It didn't in the first, it did on the second. Here come the big boys. Here comes Stephen Jones and Gareth Thomas to try and help turn the tide.
The 2 captains. Gareth Thomas, who was appointed to the captaincy when Stephen Jones was injured. It's James Hook, scorer of Wales's points in the first half, who is leaving the field. So Wales expecting a big change from their 2 vastly experienced international captains.
Very much so, to give them some direction, to give them some go forward, to stand in at 10. Kevin Morgan replaced there. I think he's all right. Is he injured? Well, a bit of ice. He should be okay. I think it's definitely a tactical substitution. But what Wales must take solace from is there's 3 or 4 Canadians taking a knee now, starting to breathe heavily. And as Chris Horseman says, if you're going to win it, then use your conditioning.
Free kick awarded to the Canadians. Williams' pass was not the best, but Culpin did well. And Munro has time then to drive Wales back. And in this position, every second counts, doesn't it, Will?
It does. They feel they can nick a lead, they can do things. Do they genuinely believe they can win it? Well, they can when your clock gets to sort of 60, 55, 60. There's only 20 minutes to hang on. The guys who are taking a knee 2 minutes ago will get a second wind, an extra water. The odd prop will take a break. He'll drop it, he'll go down. They'll try and break the game up, and they'll just frustrate Wales and say, you've shown us nothing so far. What can you show us in the last 25?
Shanklin with the break in centre field. Now then, where's the support? Gareth Thomas was at his shoulder. Didn't find him, though. But it's Stephen Jones who's clearing out on the wrecking there. It's a potential penalty to Wales. Jenkins drives on. Taking on Tate. Over the line goes Jones. How close was that?
Big games need big players. Step forward, Tom Shanklin. So well, the big influence for Wales. Stepped outside of a very poor effort at a tackle from Dave Spicer. Went up the middle, ball back in 2 hands. They were buying dummies, they were dropping off him. He nearly went the length himself and just held up. And now finally there are the Welsh crowd. Where have they been for half an hour?
First touch, Stephen Jones almost brings Wales back into it. Nobody to blame in that position, says Alain Rollin.
Take the hit, please. Don't come in like that, all right? I want you closer.
Gareth Thomas stood on the blind side. He'll be wanting to add to his enormous tally of tries.
Wales holding it in the back through Alex Popham. Morgan Williams almost creeping offside the Canadian number 9 and captain.
On the 5. Canada take the pressure when it comes on, please. Okay, I know what the option can be, but let's keep it
So
on.
this is a
Crouch.
big challenge for the Canadian scrum.
Crouch.
Mike Pletch,
There's absolutely no
the
need to
replacement
touch
prop
any of
on
these
this
balls.
side.
Come up closer. Crouch.
He has to be the
Touch.
cornerstone of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
effort.
thank you.
Penalty to Wales under the post. Peel takes it quickly. It's Thomas. Well tackled.
That's a rock, hands out.
Ball on the ground again. Wales pick up and go. Just short of the line. Wales just a metre out. Very important part of the game. Jenkins tackled well by the Canadians and driven back too.
Quick ball must be on. Quick ball must be on.
Men over on this side. Stephen Jones the switch. It's Sonny Parker.
That's what Parker does well, like Josian does for France. You felt it was going wide, the Canadians panicked, they shifted wide, he just drops off on the inside and said they've run out of numbers, they've run out of space. His trademark, point the nose and point to his pals.
Sonny Parker, who specialises in scoring tries in World Cup matches. 4 in 4 his record now, after 3 back in 2003. And the finish, well, it had to come, didn't it?
Yeah, it was strong. Dwayne Peel had the penalty from the scrum under the post and felt no, time to apply the pressure, time to turn the screw, let's quick tap and go. They did, they backed themselves, they came back, they were long in numbers. Canada panicked, headed to the wings to cut off the try in the corner, and Sonny Parker did it very well. Cut back late, picked off a 7 whose angle was heading for the corner flag. Never going to be a strong tackle, and he's too big and too strong to be stopped from 2 yards if you're not in absolute position A.
The successful conversion means that Wales, the first of those scores they needed to make up on the Canadian total. The Canucks still in the lead, though, by a single point. This is going to be quite
Hey,
a
away,
second half.
hands out. Stay.
Oh, well
Very
taken.
wild pass, but beautifully taken by Stephen Jones.
Wait. Yeah, okay.
When you're under pressure and it's a poor pass, the big players take those balls.
Pike back again towards Jones. Decides to call for the mark.
Great kick, great kick.
Huge kick. Now then, did he step over the line there, Van der Merwe? Nope, the referee is happy with it. Morgan Williams counter-attacking the scrum half beautifully. James. It's Pletch now. Thomas with the tackle. As Canada come back into this game once again. Men over on this side, it's Stephen. Couldn't get it out quickly. Pike can, straightens the line. Desperate tackle coming in on Mike Pike.
They've reorganised well, Wales, though. They've reorganised very well. Good grey line.
Wales have the numbers there, as it's Cudmore again who takes them on.
Turn up, go on, Shane.
Side, and it's Williams' chance. Shane Williams in open play. Has a look for support. Was making the pass. Forgot to hang on to the ball. He's given it back to Canada. My word, what drama.
Off the foot there.
It's an advantage, a potential advantage to Wales.
Sonny Parker wants this ball. Oh dear me.
Thomas's kick, charge down. So the referee.
Well, we're watching it now, the replay. What he's looking to go for the pass. He's left the ball behind. He's done all the hard work. Give the Canadians credit. They chased back for all the world. You thought he'd gone, shut the gate. But then they got the ball back, Wales, didn't they? And Gareth Thomas had the ball. If he'd shifted it right, I mean, Sonny was screaming for it. The Canadians were on their knees.
Scrum it down. Here's a mark.
A poor choice of option, charge down. But again, I think it's the Welsh ball, isn't it? Again, lift the tempo, keep the tempo high. If you are fitter than them, as Chris Osmond says, punish them.
Referee wanting Wales to hurry.
He's been treated. We play. Here we are. Scrum. Incredible line.
So the treatment on Shane Williams will continue, as will the game.
Crouch. Touch.
Saw the
Ball.
glory, didn't he?
Great.
Was making the pass without realising he had to hang on to the ball in the first instance.
I've seen worse, but
Take
Yeah.
the hit on the engagement. Wait. Don't push till the ball comes in. Both sides. Here we are. Here's your mark. Crouch.
Rees and Jenkins on this side of the scrum for Wales. Pletch 18 driving in on the front row, looking to disrupt Wales. Parker links with Mark Jones. The paceman coming in off his flank. Goff now takes it on. Not too many numbers on that side, but there's a gap here certainly for Jenkins. The tackle comes in on Thomas. Good one by the Canadians. But Wales have quick ball.
Oh,
Now then.
I think he's dropped it. Oh, he's in touch anyway. The touch judge taking the decision away from the referee.
What a match of incredible drama this is.
Dwayne Peel getting Jenkins doing so well. The ball comes back. Here we have a look. Yes, so he didn't ground it anyway, so it's probably a relief. He got shoved into touch.
Terrific tackle by the Canadians on the corner.
Substitution.
We're having another substitute. We're going to have the second of the identical twins. The Pletches for Canada. Dan joins in now, replacing Rod Snow.
Impressive effort from Rod Snow. Brought back exactly to do that, just to give a bit of guts and heart to that Canadian mid front row. Taking a well-earned breather.
So it's Dan Pletch, the younger, by just 2 minutes, who takes over for Canada. Morgan Williams it is who takes the responsibility in the first instance.
Number 6, don't be standing in front, okay?
Then calls on his forwards to ease the possession for him.
The key is focus and concentration from Wales now, not to concede any silly penalties, to maintain a tight defensive line even though they're 95 yards from their own line, and force Canada to kick from under their own posts.
Here's danger again, Munro can't get it clear. The try's coming in surely from Wyn Jones. Catalogue of errors then ends with the try for Alun Wyn Jones. The young Ospreys forward.
Exactly what happens. Under Munro, it's a long kick to touch from underneath your own posts. For 35 metres either side. He panicked, he took his eye off the ball, there was good pressure. A good pick up, the ball popped up into his hands. And he's crashed over. A couple of centre three-quarters are always going to struggle to stop someone that big from 3 or 4 yards out.
Second try in the last 3 games for Alun Wyn Jones.
Yeah.
The young law student from Swansea. Everything's turned around since Stephen Jones and Gareth Thomas have come onto the field. Jones adds the extra points for the second try running. 2 from 2 for Stephen Jones. Wales up in the lead once more.
Exactly, I mean, Bernard Laporte froze on Friday night and didn't make any substitutions really until it was too late. Gareth Jenkins, you may criticise him for the way Wales have played, but he grabbed the game. He said, right, let's get our 2 big boys on. They've gone on, and within minutes of these guys coming on, the tempo's been lifted, they've been more incisive, and 14 points later they find themselves back in front. Now they need to ram this home. Tom Shankland's really starting to power like Sterling Mortlock up the middle.
Tremendous running by Tom Shanklin. Popham is next in line on this side, I think, if Wayne Peel can get it out from there. No, misses him out to Stephen Jones. Little gap there. Couldn't quite offload though. That's allowed the Canadians to go in and steal it. Nope. Just knocked forward.
You were fine.
Whereas a few minutes ago, things were going Canada's way with little positions like that. They've suddenly gone against them.
Yeah, they have. Stephen Jones, I think no one will ever say he was a sprinter in his time. I think, did someone say he was once running with a fridge on his back? We finished the 3rd test against New Zealand in the Lions with Ronan O'Gara, Stephen Jones and myself in the midfield. Not the quickest midfield, but Stephen can direct, and we see Martin Williams been very good, but Colin Sharp has a bit of bulk, a bit of power, fresh legs to ram this advantage home now.
It's just over 20 minutes of rugby to be played in this pulsating contest. Peel asking Jones to make the chase. It's a good field position at the very least.
Exactly, they didn't have any of that in the first half, perhaps played a little bit too much from deep, and here this is a good attacking opportunity, but they said no, let's put the Canadians back down, let's put them under pressure, let's make them clear.
Good take by Luke Tate at the front of the line-out.
You'd expect a box kick here. Oh, he's gone back.
Well, Munro, after his error that led to the Welsh try, that one's slicing off the side of the boot as well.
He won't thank his scrum half there. You're tight up against the right-hand touchline. He's a right-footed scrum half. It's got to go up.
The replacement coming on for Canada in Aaron Carpenter, who doubles up, in fact, as a hooker and as a number 8. And he's replacing Jamie Cudmore, so it appears that he will go into the back row. Jonathan Thomas, the line-out captain, wins the ball. Popham looks to swivel. Strength of running. Plenty of men here if Wales can get the ball out wide. Jones again. It's Shanklin and Williams. Suddenly, Wales have turned this game on its head.
If a move works well, do it again. In the first half, the back peel, Popham up the middle, made them good yards. Again, Popham thrusting through the middle, the ball comes back quickly. Stephen Jones standing nice and flat, good distribution. Tom Shanklin draws the man on the inside, and Shane Williams makes no mistake this time. A very, very good, well-organised set-piece try.
Beautiful strength there of Shanklin in the midfield, making the break.
Yeah, felt if he'd shifted onto Shane, the same thing might have happened that happened 2 or 3 minutes ago. Bundled into touch, nose straight, and went through the tackle of Mike Pike on his inside, and then gave Shane Williams the easiest of dot downs. Now, nerves a little calmer in the stadium now. Their voices they're starting to find, and 15, 20 minutes to go, they'll chase that and make sure they'll nail that bonus point down.
Kick just drifts wide, but Shane Williams' 30th international try in 48 appearances, 3rd in the Welsh all-time list of try scorers, after Gareth Thomas and Ian Evans. And after getting a few opportunities, it must be said, in this game, Shane Williams has finally got the one, maybe that counts. Wales' lead now is stretching. And Popham feeds on again to Shanklin.
He's having a field day.
Coming more and more into this game. Gareth Thomas in support. That's the kick through for Mark Jones. Morgan Williams back. Ball's been knocked forward. As I say, Wales are getting the moves at the moment, and Williams can go in for his 2nd try in as many minutes.
Nice dive, but Tom Shanklin take a bow. It came from deep in their own 22. Alex Popham saw it was on. They shifted it away from the court restart. Moved up the field. Any one of 11 players could have scored. Tariff, low tariff, poor execution, nice try.
Well, who can believe the way that this game is turning out?
They'll claim it was the game plan to wear the Canadians down, to keep hold of the ball, to make them tackle, and to hopefully make it count in the latter stage of the second half. The story of the game is very, very different. They were struggling, they were being out-muscled, they were losing the battle on the gain line, and at this stage you'd have to say, Gareth Jenkins, philosophically, that actually the only reason you've come through and won this game in the second half is the fact that the Canadians, some of who don't play top-level rugby enough, tired, and so against the stronger nations, against Australia next week, they'll have to be far more clinical and far more efficient if they're to get that all-important victory.
All the changes coming in now then, as Wales claim the bonus point. And off for Wales has left the field. We saw Ryan Smith as well, the outside half for Canada. Fresh pair of legs in a key position. Again, to echo Chris Horsley's words, they seem to be coming true, don't they, at this moment?
They are. You'd hope so against a nation that perhaps doesn't compete in a Tri-Nations or a Six Nations. Obviously, Argentina were the exception. They count themselves really feeding off the top table of international rugby at the moment. The Canadians, they live off scraps. They enjoy the occasional tour game, but aren't exposed to top-level rugby enough to be able to compete, you would think, for the full game.
We've seen also Colin Hughes, who plays his rugby for Agen in France. He's come on the field, but again it's a turnover. Now Wales have to be ruthless. It's Gareth Thomas into Mark Jones.
A cross kick for Shane Williams, and he's in a field on his own.
And Jones takes it on well. It's Peel. Mark Jones. Canada for the moment forced to defend desperately, but at least they will get to put in at this set scrap.
Oh, Dwayne Peel will be cross himself, got such high standards. Another try goes begging here, but Gareth Thomas showing his pace, does well, goes on the outside, stays in control. A good step, lovely ball, keeps the ball in. Mark Jones does well to hold on, and there, I suppose the one thing the Wales would say is that Canadians are so tired, they actually found themselves in the right position by accident.
Who's captain? Okay.
Mike Phillips comes onto the field as a replacement for Dwayne Peel.
Yeah. Here we are, here's Mark.
So we have Stephen Jones and Gareth Thomas potentially taking over
Here's Mark.
as captains.
Crowds.
So Wales with the
Touch.
extra physical power of Mike Phillips, 6'3" scrum half. Try and rub salt in the Canadian wounds now.
Hands out, Wales!
Strong rugby player, Mike Phillips. You just sometimes worry if he tries to take the world on his own. Let the ball do the work. He'll become a very accomplished footballer.
You must appreciate too, surely, that there are other and bigger challenges to come in the next week in this competition. So can you try and conserve anything in this sort of situation, Will?
I think at 35-17 now, you have to keep concentrating, you have to keep focusing. You mustn't let Canada score again. You've got them under the cosh. Now it's all about maintaining the ball, putting some phases on, putting some set pieces, comfortable in the line out, and hopefully nicking one or two. Mark Jones, I'd like to see him just finding a half a gap. Again, let's see Gareth Thomas running an old-fashioned full-back line. It's now no injuries for Australia, really, next week.
Here's Thomas, Blues hooker putting in, but Jarvis couldn't take that ball. 2 knock-ons. Referee in the end with no option but to call it back.
First by Wales, then by Canada.
Canada will get the put in at the set scrum.
A bit more hang time before the engage, please. A bit more of a pause before the engage.
A chance again, perhaps, to get Mike Pike running up the blind side. He was probably Canada's most effective broken field runner in the first half, and just simply hasn't had the ball in the second half to show off his skills.
Stay on.
He's the man in the first receiver position this side, but it's untidy ball. So Jones will look to take advantage, and obviously with Pike away from home in the fullback position, and wanted to take it quickly. Back in position now though, as Jonathan Thomas takes it on. Gethin Jenkins and Lofton in the second half. Stephen Jones, huge gap for him. On to Jarvis.
Good finish.
Colin Jarvis with the try then.
It'd be good to have a player kind of on Stephen Jones. His 20 minutes he's been on. He's been slapping, high-fiving, bellowing, encouraging, making breaks, being in and around. He's enjoyed these 15-20 minutes. And a nice delayed pass. Knew he didn't have the footwork to perhaps beat the last man, but didn't need to when you got that giant on your shoulder.
A record-equaling try too. 21st international try for Colin Jarvis, equaling the world's best ever by Carlo Cecchinato of Italy with 21 apiece. As again, the Canadians look to freshen up the side. Still 12 minutes almost of rugby to be played here at Nantes.
They are spray-on tops, those Welsh tops, aren't they?
Yes.
Doesn't leave much to the imagination. Dorian West was happy to retire when they brought those on.
Mike Burak from Pau in southwest France, in the shadow of the Pyrenees, is the latest replacement, coming on for Luke Tate. And Stephen Jones, who of course has just returned recently from a spell with Clément Auvergne in France here. Getting out to the extra points. Jarvis really has enjoyed that one. And the contribution of Stephen Jones can't be overestimated either, can it?
Yeah, I think the whole game turned on those two coming on. Not necessarily, they didn't take too much ball in the first 3 or 4 minutes, but it seemed as the guys in the front row enjoyed it, as the Hair Bear bunch swap over.
Yes! It's yet another ex-international captain in Duncan Jones, who comes on in place of his Ospreys teammate Adam.
Great take. Brilliant, brilliant take. In a dangerous position. You have to admire second rows who take those restarts. They're hanging up there. They know what's coming. They focus. They keep their eyes on the ball. They take a wonderful take. They get clattered. They win the penalty. No one really pats them on the back, but just so crude. Restarts are such an important part of the modern game.
Very much a Welsh Achilles heel over recent years. But Stephen Jones can send his side almost up to halfway. Well, if you've enjoyed this, there's a lot more action to come today at 3 o'clock on ITV1. It's South Africa against Samoa, game in England's group, of course. Then Scotland against Portugal, ITV4 and STV. And finally, Ireland, Namibia on ITV4 and UTV. Mike Phillips loses the ball going forward.
Come away, 19, stay there.
Referee Alan Rolla playing a good advantage to the Canadians.
Advantage over.
Nice set-piece move from Wales of Lyon. Good to see them trying things, experimenting, seeing what works. Stephen Jones on a wraparound. It looked a shade forward, but he gets the ball back, pops the ball back inside to Jarvis. Good support lines. Mike Phillips, good again, like all good scrum halves, tracking the ball, running up the middle of the field. Just gets the ball slapped down in his hands. But at this precise moment, the game looks to have almost gone semi-opposed. Wales enjoying themselves, smiling and looking to put a show on. And then throwing it to a Canadian.
Immediately, yes.
No, it's all right.
Williams, scorer of one account, has 3 tries. Effort in the second half, of course. Again, the ball is lost on contact. They're back, I think, so Stephen Jones can feed Gareth Thomas. This made himself a little there, but the referee will bring them all the way back anyway. He was playing an advantage.
A good opportunity to say well done Alan Roland this afternoon. I think he's refereed the game extremely well. Understood what both sides are trying to do, being harsh but fair, and being consistent, especially with the advantage law that seems such a contentious issue at the moment.
Time out, Diggs.
Yes, the international board have been trying to reduce the time scale given to advantage. Sometimes, of course, advantages have gone on for a minute or more.
Yeah, I think they want to keep the game flowing, don't they? Right, that's advantage over, let's play. You've knocked it on. They've got some advantage, right, let's play on. Let's play on, as opposed to keep going back to scrums and line-outs. Let's open up the game. It asks questions of the teams who get the ball back when they have an advantage, what they do with it and how they use it.
Come closer, Canada. Crouch on the mark. Touch.
Phillips. Scrum right on halfway. Next Popper protecting the ball as ever. Parker almost through the gap. It's a penalty though against Wales. Trip, I think.
Yeah, that's what he was signalling, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's probably a little trouble, I think, as well. Just have a picture at the moment. He does finally, though, get to his feet. Good kick into the corner.
Great kick, great kick.
Yeah,
So
more
often,
drama to come in this game.
my goodness. So often you see fly halves or wings or bullets on penalty just almost kicking off sideways, worried about going for the corner. He's attacked the corner, he's got no fear, and it gives Canada a great attacking position considering where they've scored their tries from so far in this game.
Mike Burak is the man who takes it, feeds it to Reardon. He's playing an advantage to Canada. Duncan Jones going in on the side, rather through the hindmost foot. For the moment, Canada are driving on, looking for a 4th try themselves. Desperate defence by Wales. There's a bonus point at stake for Canada if they can get a 4th score. Alan Roland will bring them back anyway.
That's fair in terms of advantage.
Yeah.
The Duncan Jones committed the offence 2 yards from his own line. He's given Canada the chance to drive over. It wasn't coming. Penalty. Same again.
Yep, let's go for it again. That's the Canadian call. Last time the throw went to Mike Burak at the front.
Oh, you've got to like Alex Popper. He's gone down with an injury. Alan Roland said, go to the side, and he's been asked, Alex has asked him, he did play on then, he's suddenly found himself back on his feet, defending the line out. Lazarus.
Hughes was in there as well, aiding the effort. The man from Argent. wearing 20.
Get him off! Come on, get him out! Stay up!
Burak, 19. And it's a bit of elbow in there as well. Good strong tackle. Knocking the man back. There's not just pride at stake here. There's a bonus point as well for Canada. Pick up and drive once again. Just held up short. Alan Roland, right on the spot. Scrum 5.
Good defence, Wales. They'll be very pleased with that. Stephen Jones straight in, slapping all his pals on the back, saying, well done, fellas. You often feel out of it out in the backs, watching your forwards grunting and grinding on their own line, but tremendous set-piece defence. Took the line out down early, focused on the fringes, tried not to commit again. Another penalty to give Canada another bite at the apple.
I'll get out of the way. I won't be in the way. Here's your mark.
The French twins, Dan and Mike, 17 and 18 of the two props, as Canada go for the scrum. Taking on the Welsh 8, but there's a turnover. Popham feeding the ball out to Mark Jones, but it'll be a throw-in to the line-out again for Canada.
Just spotted something on the short side. Aaron Carver did very well. Alex Popham felt a little dart at the blind, so would have set Mark Jones free. Reserve front row did extremely well.
Last replacement is Ed Fairhurst for Canada. Man who can play in every position behind the scrum. Has played for Canada fairly consistently at scrum half and also at fullback. He is wearing 21. Played for a period for the Cardiff Blues last season. He will be going down to Penzance to join the Cornish Pirates when this competition is over. Wales defending for their lives as Pat Reardon, now the hooker, takes it on. The pressure is enormous from Canada, despite the fact that Wales have a comfortable lead of 25 points. And Roland moves over to the other side just to check.
It's a real arm wrestle, this, isn't it, now?
Ever closer, the Canadians towards the line. As Popham goes leaping in, again it's Reardon. And there's a good battle for possession on the ground. It's live on the Canadian side. Fairhurst. The scrum half waits, but his forwards take it on.
Committed and brave from Canada. You feel almost they deserve that bonus point from the contribution they've made to today's game. But Wales will have none of it. They'll just try and defend that line with everything.
And there's a turnover again as well. Latest replacement for Wales, Michael Owen, yet another ex-international captain, has taken on the field, and Wales look to spread it wide now then. Poor pass to Shane Williams. Forced to put the little kick through. But, just getting the ball really back to Canada. But it's a long way back over there for the Canadian forwards after their terrific battle and efforts to get themselves a fourth try. Strong run again. Craig Culpin, another of the Canadian try scorers. Is there a turnover? No. Possession still there. From the Merva. On the face of the scrum now, there is a turnover.
Except he was offside when he used the boot. The call of turnover, teams that most teams use now from within. So if they feel there's a good tackle going on, someone, the scrum half or the number 8 will shout turnover, turnover. It's a real signal for everyone. Right, let's commit. Let's get in over the ball. Got a chance to grab the ball, play, deny them of the ball, and it's a lot easier defending. Well, you don't defend if you can turn the ball over and have it yourself.
Lovely long kick again from Pritchard down into the Welsh territory. Don't forget as well about our website, itv.com/rugby. You can see video highlights of each and every game from this World Cup, plus the latest news and of course a lot more. Smith hands it on to Spicer in centre field.
Stay back, 5.
Not surprisingly, the Canadians rather slow to come back here, so it's gone back to where they are. Eminently sensible tactics. Coming through at pace. It was Mike Patch, no, in fact it was Dan Petch. And there are some numbers on this side of the field. Pritchard.
Good tackle, Mike Jones.
We're coming up to the last minute or so of play, but the intensity is as high as ever. We've had a great competitive match here between these two countries.
Tremendously so. Canada have got into the spirit of the game. They've seen the underdogs so far in this tournament play well. They've followed that lead. They've got stuck in. They've scored some great tries. Wales have been under pressure. They've played poorly at times, but they've regrouped. The substitution with Stephen Jones and Gareth Thomas gave them a fresh impetus, and then they've pulled away. They'll be, you know, I think they've got one eye now. You can't criticise them too much for the last 5 minutes. They've got one eye on Australia. They'll need to be better next week, but there were a few encouraging signs to suggest that at the Millennium Stadium next week, they'll have a chance against the Australians.
So Michael Stephen, this time the Canadian with the pickup at the back of the scrum. Ball's been lost forward. The referee's playing an advantage. We've just got about 10 seconds on the clock. So I'm sure Wales will be pretty happy to let the clock run down. It's Jarvis. Good bit of pace then. Getting support from Michael Owen. Forward anyway.
Those are the chances. The clock might be dead, but those are the chances. If you break away, the opportunity was on to release Mark Jones. A real disappointing end, but a good win in the end for Wales.
42 points to 17, the final score. How important a victory do you think that is?
Oh, tremendously so. The bonus points being gathered. They'll feel as though they've been in a tough game. They've certainly been tested by this strong Canadian outfit. There were passages of play where Wales would be pleased with, but perhaps too many passages of play where they weren't forceful enough, weren't dominant enough, and weren't incisive enough. Things to correct, but you want to start your World Cup off with a